Hey everyone, this is Arada and we're going to be covering the JP side of the game. Currently, it's still the 4-year anniversary celebration, and one of the set of banners that were released as part of this celebration is this double banner. One of the banner features Anya, Final Emperor, and Nebelstern. The other banner features Darius, Final Empress, and Kendi. First off with Anya. So with Anya, she gains AoE healing capability and it has an additional guard up effect. And then she also has additional debuff that she can do. And let's run through the skills and ability. So for skill number 1, it's a Pierce and Sun, E damage, 0 to 1 BP. It's single target. Um, when the attack hits, it has a chance to inflict intelligence debuff to the target with small effect. The second skill is Starlight Grace. So Starlight Grace is a D power healing, 8 to 10 BP and 2 LP, AoE healing to everyone, and then has a guard up medium effect for 2 turn. So one of my comment about the healing is the usage of LP. As you know, with the latest Muse, she can heal everyone, even though it doesn't revive dead party member. That it still doesn't use LP. And then for certain battles, like how the death battle was in this Romancing Saga Miniature Song Tower in the 4-year event in JP, that there's an inevitable LP damage that healing such as what Anya can bring, like the Starlight Grace, is something you wouldn't want to rely on for healing. And yeah, for skill number 3, it's Pearson Sun, SSS damage, 10 to 13 BP, single target, and when the attack hits, inflict attack stance and defense stance down. Small effect for both and 2 turns for both as well. For ability, ability number 1, it improves action order for Anya as a passive, small effect. And then when HP is full, increase damage with extreme effect. So that would be 30% attack. And then when HP is not full, mitigate damage with medium effect, which I assume to be 10 to 15%. And then for second ability, um, on turn starts, self intelligence buff with large effect. And then when performing a healing skill, self heat up buff, extra large effect, which I assume to be 20% attack. And then lastly, ability number 3, if everybody is alive, increase damage, buff self with increased damage with extreme effect. And then when taking damage that's considered a resist, that she would mitigate the damage with extreme effect as well. So extreme effect would be for defense would be 40%, for attack extreme effect would be 30%. And then on turn ends, BP plus 1 to self. So yeah, this Anya can do an attack stance and defense stance down for 2 turns compared to the previous style. The previous style can only do 1 turn for attack stance down, but in exchange to that, she can do a cheap buff cleansing capability, which was heavily demonstrated in this RSMS tower, where you gotta do buff cleansing or else it's gonna be very deadly for enemy attacks. And then one thing you would like to consider as well is the self heat up when doing a healing skill. As you know, Starlight Grace can only be casted twice per battle, so she can only benefit from that ability twice as well. So one thing you can work around that is inheriting Starlight Heal from the free S style. So you can cast 5 times of healing so that you can benefit from that heat up 5 times as well. But it depends on whether you need AoE healing or not for that battle. So you have to consider the pros and cons before you decide on what to inherit. And then you also might want to consider um, using the previous style with inherit of skill number 3 from this style, because the previous style, as long as you gear Anya properly, you would be resisting incoming damage, and with that, she rolls on dodging the attack first. If she doesn't dodge it, then she mitigates that damage further. So both with the condition that the incoming damage is considered a resist, and though that dodging capability has saved me a lot in the this RSMS tower in JP. Um, Compared to this Anya, so this Anya has two conditions. One, everybody has to be alive, and two, she has to take damage that's considered a resist for her to mitigate that damage further. Um, and then this style doesn't roll for that dodging capability too. So yeah, like I said, weighing the pros and cons of the two styles and then inheriting one skill from one another, they can actually work hand in hand together in a way. All right. So next one is Final Emperor. So Final Emperor became a single target counter unit, and then he also has an active skill where he can buff self with taunt. The only problem I have for Final Emperor is the defense passive. His defense passive needs to be built over time because of the defense up every turn start, just like Sharaha. So let's run through the skills and abilities so that you would understand the what I'm trying to say. For skill number one, it's a Pearson slash E damage 0 to 1 BP. It's an AoE, and then after the attack, buff self with taunt stance small effect for 4 turns. Second skill is Pierce and Sun, SSS damage 11 to 14 BP, single target, and then after the attack, heals self with HP, large effect. Skill number 3 is Pierce and Slash, SSS damage 12 to 15 BP. It's a fast single target skill, and then after the attack, put self in a counter dodge stance for 1 turn. So whenever Final Emperor would get direct attack, he would counter with Dragon Swoop Plus. So Dragon Swoop Plus is SSSS damage, only Pierce element. In global, Dragon Swoop Plus actually got a buff where it would also give self HP healing capability. So that kind of works in favor of this Final Emperor once this gets to global with the Dragon Swoop Plus counter. So for abilities, ability number 1, battle starts BP plus 2, and then when doing a weak point, when hitting the enemy weak point and the attack hits, BP plus 2 again, extra BP plus 2. So this is kind of like the latest Charles, where if you hit the enemy weak point, you get BP plus 2. So when Charles uses his skill number 2, it does 2 different attacks. And when you hit the enemy weak point on those 2 attacks, that he gains 4 BP total, and then he can reuse skill number 2 again the following turn. So it's kind of like for Final Emperor, but more for his counter stance being 12 BP. So you would like to pray for Final Emperor to be attacked, and then the target to be weak against Pierce element, so that you can benefit from that extra 2 BP on attack when doing a weak point attack, so that you can have as much uptime as possible with the counter stance. And then the second ability is Emperor's Trust. So a turn starts self damage block 1 time for 1 turn, and then self defense up large effect. It only triggers 5 times per battle, and then self BP plus 1. So damage block 1 time, as you know, only 1 incoming damage, he would take 0 damage. It only lasts for 1 turn. It's not the same as Beachside Labelle, where Beachside Labelle has damage block 1 time as well, but it doesn't have any duration. She can actually stack it with one another if she gets lucky with skill number 1 buffing herself with damage block 1 time. And then, like I said, defense up large effect, it builds up over time as the battle progresses. So after the 5th turn, that's when you would have maybe I would say 15% per for medium for large, but this is defense, so probably 20%, but don't quote me on that one. So it could be 75% damage mitigate total or 100% if it's 20% at turn 5, which is pretty good. But again, you gotta build up until turn 5 for that one. And then lastly, um, when equipped with Spear, increase damage with Extreme Effect. So Extreme Effect is 30%. And then when doing a weak point attack, increase damage further with Extra Large Effect. So that would be 20%. So in all, Final Emperor has a lot of passive attack to himself, especially if the target is weak against Pierce, that he would benefit really well from the counter with Dragon Swoop Plus. And then with the global buff for Dragon Swoop Plus having self HP healing capability, that it would ultimately help Final Emperor for survivability, especially for those that deal really hard damage and you rely on this Final Emperor as your counter tank. Alright, and lastly, for the first banner, there's Nebelstern. So Nebelstern is more simpler than Final Emperor and Anya. So like in the what you see in the summary, he has 30% attack up and then extra 75% attack up when doing a weak point attack. So and then with 116% strength and 16 plus 16 extra, that he's gonna do really good damage. Unfortunately, out of the 6 characters, I wasn't able to get Nebelstern, so I wouldn't be able to showcase how good the damage is. But we can only think by paper on how much the damage would be. So let's run through the skills and ability. So skill number 1, it's Heavy Pike. So it's a pierce B damage 3 to 4 BP. It's a delay single target, and then after the attack, heal self with small effect. The second skill, it's a pierce and slash C damage 6 to 8 BP, and then it's an AoE, again pierce and slash. And then last one is Crystal Strike, just like Platinum Cordelia, the latest one. It's a row, pierce, and cold element. SSS damage 10 to 13 BP. It's a row attack. For ability, it's Weak Assault 5. So Weak Assault 5, when doing weak damage, increase damage by extreme effect. So that's 30%. At round start, he buffs himself with attack boost, extra large effect for 1 turn. And then skill ability number 2, when doing weak damage, increase damage further with extra large effect, extreme effect. So the other one, if I said incorrectly, it's extreme effect as well. So both are 30%. Ability number 1 and ability number 2. And then for ability number 2, other than the extra damage on weak point attack, BP plus 2 at battle start. And then ability number 3, Weak Great Tension. So Weak Great Tension, increase damage by extreme effect, so that's 30% attack. And then when doing a weak point attack, increase damage by large effect, that's 15%. So that's why in total, he gains 30% attack up, and then extra 75% attack up when doing weak point. And then he also has an attack boost at round start with extra large effect for 1 turn. So yeah, you can only imagine how big the damage would be. And since he starts with BP plus 2, that if you want a strong AoE upfront, that with the global change for S-style Nebelstern, that he would have big wheels plus that he can use for 12 BP doing S damage AoE. So yeah, that's Nebelstern. Pretty good damage. He can do a lot of stuff for farming, but he can only do one hit with Crystal Strike, or he can do 2 rounder for the AoE. But again, it depends on the inherit that you would have for him to further enhance what he can do. But definitely, he would be more on the farming side of the game. All right, so that's Nebelstern. Let's move on to the other banner. I'll start off with Darius. So Darius becomes a cover tank. He has a lot of defense passive, and then he jumps in front of a party member to block incoming enemy attack. So let's run through his skills and ability. So first off, skill number one, it's a slash and dark element, E damage 1 to 2 BP. It's single target, and then after the attack, heals self with extra small effect, and then buff self with guard up small effect for 2 turn. The second ability is a support skill. The second skill is a support skill. It's a block command. It's 4 to 6 BP. Um, it targets everyone. It's a fast skill. It can only be used twice per battle. It doesn't have any LP cost or anything, so that's a good thing. It buffs everyone with damage block one time for one turn. And then lastly, skill number three. Even though it's in katakana, it's French, so I don't want to butcher the pronunciation. So skill number three is slash and dart, SS damage, 12 to 15 BP. It's a fast indirect attack, um, slash and dark element. And then after the attack, buff self with defense boost, large effect for 3 turns. And then for ability number one is Super Guardian. So that's where he would be blocking incoming enemy attack to a party member with a large chance. And then whenever he gets attacked, he gains BP plus 1 to self. And then ability number two, on turn ends, BP plus 1 to self. And then at battle starts, BP plus 2. And then lastly, he has Iron Wall 7, which is maximum effect for the damage mitigate. So that would be 50%, 50 upfront. So yeah, Darius is pretty straightforward. I was hoping that block command is kind of like Imperial Guard from global exclusive Final Empress, where it's not just a one hit. You know, he can everybody can take as much hit as they want to for that turn, but unfortunately, it's just one hit, so it's fine. And then for this style to be better, you would want to have some inherit from either the S style or the UDX style. So from the S style, you can have the strength buffing, because it was buff in global where it's now a fast skill. So he would have some kind of utility in buffing everyone with strength. I would say you would see that application a lot in Remembrance, or you can have him do like intelligence debuff from the UDX style. So it's up to you what you need, but this this Darius is kind of lacking in a way, especially after you use the damage block one time. Cover is pretty good, but Mass Dad can do that already, and then Mass Dad can overdrive heal everyone. So I would prefer Mass Dad over Darius in that department with the cover, and he also has defense boost to himself. So kind of like Darius without the damage block, but healing in a way. All right. Next up is Final Empress. So Final Empress, she is the queen of support. She does a lot of buffing to the party, and it's both active and passive. And like I said in my previous video with the Christmas Final Empress in Global, that having skill number one from Christmas style would be pretty good for this to kind of perfect what this Final Empress can do as a support. So let's run through the skills and abilities. Skill number one, it's a healing skill. It's D power healing, 0 to 1 BP, and then it can only be used 3 times per battle. So unlike Anya with having that LP penalty for doing healing skill, this Final Empress doesn't have the LP penalty, and then it's actually a healing skill, so you can revive a dead party member. So it's a healing skill, and then when you heal that target, you would also buff that target with heat up medium effect. So yeah, that's pretty good. And then Second ability is Slash and Sun, C damage, 7 to 9 BP. It's an AoE. Um, After the attack, when the attack hits, rather, inflict moral down small effect for 2 turns. And then for everyone, buff everyone with moral up, small effect for 2 turns. And then increase action order, small effect for everyone for 2 turns as well. And then lastly, skill number 3, it's a Slash and Dark SSS damage, 11 to 14 BP, single target, and then after the attack hits, self-heal HP with large effect. So yeah, the support doesn't stop there. There's some passive that the party can benefit from. So ability number 1, battle starts BP plus 1, turn ends BP plus 2. So kind of like a souped up version of final of the Christmas style. So for the Christmas style, you gotta do an attack for you to benefit the BP plus 2. For this one, turn only has to end for you to get BP plus 2. So that kind of plays a role with the rotation where um, if Final Empress doesn't do an attack, she might be lacking some BP for you to optimize your rotation. That's something to consider with, the condition of when they would gain their extra BP, whether it be an attack, when the attack hits, or on turn ends, on turn starts, and so on. Yeah. Okay, and then ability number 2. So it's Empress Unison. So Empress Unison is for everyone alive, mitigate damage with medium effect. And then on turn starts, self BP plus 1. And then for everybody alive in the party, buff the party with heat up, small effect, and then that one triggers 5 times per battle. So not only can she give heat up on healing, which has a 3 times limit that doesn't use LP, she can also give heat up to everyone as a passive on turn start. Yeah, that's why she is really good at support and buffing. And lastly, ability number 3. When she's equipped with Greatsword, increase damage with extreme effect, 30% attack. And then when taking damage, mitigate damage with extra large effect, which is also 30% from what I understand. So yeah, it's either skill number 1 from Christmas style, or if you have the award style, you can you can inherit Moonlight, so you can do healing some more. That can revive, and I think there is an amplification already in JP for that cleanses certain ailments. I forgot on top of my head what it does. So yeah, that's why I was extremely happy with the Spiral Jewel in JP. I did some single pulls and I was fortunate to get Final Empress out of that jewel. Yeah. All right. And lastly, out of this double banner, we have Candy. So Candy is a debuffer specialist. Um, think of Candy as like Christmas Book 1, but version 1.5 or even version 2, I think. Because Candy can do a lot of stuff, and then with Inherit from the Summer style, that just completes Candy's kit by a lot. So yeah, let's run through the skills and abilities. Skill number 1, it's an blunt E damage 0 to 1 BP, and then it's an AoE. Skill number 2 is blunt and slash A damage 5 to 7 BP. It's a single target, and then when the attack hits, there's a chance to inflict strength debuff, small effect, and then when the attack hits, there's also a chance to inflict dex debuff, small effect. Both of those are chance, so keep note of that one. And then skill number 3, it's rolling strike or guru guru strike. So it's a blunt SSS damage, 9 to 12 BP. It's a fast skill. It's single target, and then when the attack hits, inflict guard down medium effect for 3 turns. And then for ability number 1 is when the attack hits, inflict strength debuff for a large chance with large effect. And then when the attack hits, self BP plus 3 for a large chance as well. Like I said, kind of like Christmas Bakuan in a way. And then ability number 2. When the attack hits, inflict Dex debuff small effect. No chances. And then self BP plus 1 as well. Exactly like book 1, that one. And then the ability number 3. When taking damage, mitigate damage with large effect. So that would be 20%. And then on turn starts, self heat up medium effect. It only triggers 5 times per battle. So yeah, strength and dex debuffing for Candy, and then when you inherit Summer Style with the free heal 5 BP, it's a free heal, and then um increase ailment resistance as well. That it kind of completes Candy in a way as a support or as a debuffer, depending on what you need for the battle. The only problem I have is their buff cleansing happens a lot, so you gotta time the debuffing properly for Candy to be able to succeed with the debuffing and actually benefit from that before it gets cleansed. And then this Candy, by the way, has 104% intelligence, so pretty reliable, I would say, for debuffing duty. And then with free AoE heal if you need that, and then the free AoE heal comes with ailment resistance buff as well. So both of those along with debuffing kind of makes Candy very attractive for hard content, especially if you need someone that's doing strength and dex debuffing. Alright, my apologies for this very, very lengthy video. It's 26 minutes in. I tried to cover as much as I can with all the characters, and this kind of gives you an idea of, you know, planning for any upcoming characters in Global and how they play in the future with the future style. It's not to say that their current style is no longer playable, but I would say would have limited application because the current new styles right now, based off how the minstrel song tower plays out, was one, the LP penalty for using certain skill. It's favorable for you not to have any LP penalty at all. And two, if you can have any healing sources, whether it be through Stillblade Light, from Mirza or anybody else, it's also very helpful. And then three, this is very, very biased for point number 3, but willpower buffing has been proven to be very useful for this tower, at least from my experience, where I went for Rising Phoenix, and then I have like 2 or 3 willpower buffer for me to survive the attack. It's That's the damage, that's the power creep that we have to we have to endure in this event. But yeah, um, that's the banner rundown for these 2 banners. Again, I'm fortunate to have these 5 characters minus Nebelstern. They have their own application and very unique in their own ways. Nebelstern is just pretty good with farming with the high attack 30% and 75%. So yeah, thank you so much again for listening. I know this is a very lengthy video, and credits to gamerch.com. That's the JP website I go to. I know a lot of you go to Naosan's website, which is also pretty good, by the way. But I can get the assets from Gamerch. That's why I just got accustomed to going to Gamerch if I need any assets that's not yet available in Global. All right. Thank you so much again, everyone, and see you in the next video or stream.